Voted for Donald Trump, and now they're losing everything. Let's talk about it. I want to tell you the story of Brian and Brad Watson, father and son, farmers in Pennsylvania. They voted for Donald Trump, and now they're losing everything. Their story was recently covered in an article in the New York Times titled The Last Days of Butter Ridge. It's a lengthy piece, and I will put a link in the video description below if you'd like to read it yourself. I'm going to read just a part of this article, and then I have some comments I'd like to make. Now, I will tell you that this article is written in such a way as to make you feel sorry for Brian and Brad. You can feel for them however you like, but I will explain to you what I think of Brian and Brad when I'm done. Let me read just a little of this, and then I'll have some points to make. Brad Watson, 41, awoke without an alarm at 5:30 a.m., strapped on his headlamp, and headed to the barn. Cold air leaked through a small gap in the boards, and he stuffed a paper bag into the hole to block the wind. He knew every detail of the barn in the morning. Hay shifting beneath his boots, heat rising off the cows, the way the milking equipment froze against his hands. He walked through the stalls to greet each cow by name, and then stopped. It was Meg, a purebred cow, one of his best. She had flipped over her stall in the night and twisted in her chain, strangling to death. He knelt to touch her head and then kept walking toward the milking parlor. More than 90 other cows still needed to be milked, twice a day, every day. And that work never stopped for a weekend, or a vacation, or a dead cow, or any other crisis during a winter in which his family dairy business was beginning to unravel. He guided the cows into the parlor one at a time, patting their flanks to help them stay calm. "Come on, girls, settle down," he said. He hooked each one up to a machine and watched the milk start to flow as he ran through the numbers again in his head. His milk check came every other week, and it never covered his bills. Feed, fuel, fertilizer, all had nearly doubled in recent months. Lately, he was losing several $100s each day, and without Meg, the math would be worse. Brad attached the next cow to the machine and texted his father, Brian Watson, 62. "I can't keep going like this," Brad told him. "I could make more by picking cans up off the road. I'm done." "Don't think you failed," Brian responded. "You're the last Watson milking." The Watsons had been dairy farming since before the Civil War. One of dozens of Watson farms that had spread across northern Pennsylvania over the generations, and then, like dairy farms everywhere, gradually disappeared. The number of dairy farms in the United States had fallen to fewer than 25,000, from a peak of nearly 700,000 in the 1970s. Milk prices had barely risen in half a century, held down by overproduction and a handful of large corporations that dominated the dairy market. The costs of running a family farm had skyrocketed by as much as 500%. Brad had supported Donald Trump. Obviously, a lot of family tradition, history, memories wrapped up in that farm. Now it's gone. Farm bankruptcies across the country had risen 55% in 2024, 46% in 2025, and another 70% so far in 2026, as nearly a third of the world's fertilizer exports were impacted by conflicts in the Strait of Hormuz. Conflicts in the Strait of Hormuz? Hey, New York Times, it's Trump's illegal war. These aren't just some conflicts popping off. Donald Trump started an illegal war. Get it right. Anyway, it goes on and on and on like this. I read that last part to note this. Farmers have been in trouble for a long time. It didn't begin with Donald Trump. but he sure made it a hell of a lot worse. And anyone who knew anything about Donald Trump would know that he was going to make it a hell of a lot worse. Maybe not in 2016. Maybe you didn't know. He didn't have a track record. He's never been in politics. He's just some real estate guy from New York City who was given a reality TV show, played a character. By the way, what in any of that background I just explained would lead anyone to believe that that man knows anything about the farming industry or gives two shits about anybody in the farming industry? So maybe you didn't know. 2016, you didn't know. You were wrapped up in the cult of personality. Oh, it's so exciting, a celebrity running for president. Politics is all about entertainment after all, right? To far too many people in this country, that's all it is, entertainment. But he served for 4 years as president. There was no excuse after 2016, not in 2020, certainly not in 2024. No reason to believe that Donald Trump would help farmers. Every reason to believe the exact opposite. But still, Brian and Brad voted for Donald Trump. Now they're losing everything. And am I supposed to feel sorry for Brian and Brad? Because I don't. Not the least little bit. You know why? I care far more and have far more sympathy for the people who didn't.
Family losing their farm, which they have been working on for the last 140 years. It's really heartbreaking. And the story of Watson family, it's not new. It's familiar to many farmers right now because they could not be able to service their loan on the banks, and now the farm is going. That is what happens when you vote according to your skin tone, according to your emotions, rather than going deep down on the presidential candidate who has the better interest for the local people, for the farmers, for the employers, for the people who are deep, deep interior in the rural area and they are doing farming. Let's start with what the deportation did to a lot of farmers in the States. The deportation happened and a lot of farmers, they lost a lot of crops because no one was willing to work on their farms, because as you know that most of these farms depended on illegal immigrants because the people, the white people could not do the local jobs or the menial jobs. Those jobs they are mostly taken by the immigrants. And one thing, a lot of crops rot in those farms. And what does that tell you? A lot of money was lost. And if a lot of money was lost, these farmers were not able to pay or to service their loans, and then that's why you can see what is happening now to the Watson family. They voted for Donald Trump one, not two, but three times. And we always say that racism is very expensive, and that is what you can see what is happening with the Watson family. Right now, they are losing a farm. They are losing the business they have built for generations. But now it's going to go down with this era of Donald Trump. That showcases or that illustrates that anytime you're going to vote for any person, whether it's your governor, whether it's your president, look for someone who has good manifesto, good interest of the people, someone who is going to help the farmers, the rural people, that their farms, their kettles, their business, it's going to thrive, not someone who just is willing just to do anything for them to be in a to be in a presidential candidate. This is what is happening to a lot of farms in the states because anytime the production goes down, you will not be able to pay your workers. And even this affects a lot of people because anytime there are no jobs, there will not be money. Anytime the crops are low, the supply will be low, and that creates a lot of demands, and that tends to make the products, the prices to be very, very high. But these people, they do not know that all this will be happening because there are a lot of deportation happened, and now they are facing it. They fucked out and they are finding it rough. They just got what you call FAFO. They are finding out now what other people have been telling them is what is affecting them right now. Many families have gone through this road. It's only that they have not come forward and told their stories and just told everybody what has happened. But a lot of farmers have been affected just by voting for Donald Trump. They said also about the Strait of Hormuz. This is a war which was just caused out of nowhere, and now the Strait of Hormuz was closed, and everything people use depends on gas. And if there's no enough gas in the country, a lot of commodities are tend to skyrocket their prices, and that is one thing that is making these farmers not to be able even to afford the common products to help them in the production in the farms, and now they can feel the heat. Let me know what you think about the Watson family because it's about to go down. The farm is going down with this era of Donald Trump. Drop your thoughts down below. Give the video a big thumbs up. If you are coming across this channel for the first time, kindly consider subscribing. Credit goes to the creator of these short videos. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next in my next video.